First of all, welcome. It's good to be here this afternoon to talk about the project. So we'd like to thank the organizers of the Bioneers and also UCSC for hosting us. And what we'd like to do is to start by recognizing the first people who harvested from this land. And we always feel like that's a good place to start. So my name is Omer. I manage the farm. And we have three people up here today because we wanted to give you different voices to try and convey the different layers of the project. So we're going to try to keep things as real as possible as we try to explain our model of operation and how it connects to the community. But we wanted to start with some storytelling. And what we're going to do is Lindsay and I are going to give you brief examples of what it may be like to enter into homelessness. And these are examples of people that have come into our training program. So if you could for a moment, close your eyes if you want to. And as you listen to these stories, imagine yourself as if you're in a position of one of these characters. So take a deep breath and imagine you're growing up as a child. Your mother uses heroin and your father leaves the family at an early age. Your mom goes to jail on drug charges and you bounce around from one foster home to the next, never quite fitting in, confused, scared, and with no sense of stability, no sense of home. Until at age 16, you decide to run away, and you find a family on the streets with other kids that roam the country from town to town. Life is good for a while. There's a feeling of freedom and escape. Until you turn 20, and the grind of not knowing where you're going to sleep each night and the rough lifestyle no longer seems fun. But with no high school diploma, no work experience, no self-confidence, only a burning desire inside that things can be different, you ask yourself, what choice do I have?
You had an abusive parent, so you started running with a rough crowd to get out of the house. You end up in prison, and then can't get a job because you have a felony. You turn to crime to support yourself because it's what you know, and you end up spending 30 years in and out of prison. You're perpetually on parole and have PTSD from a lifetime surrounded by violence. No one wants to hire you or rent you a room, so you live on the fringe. You have a reputation you can't leave behind. You sleep on the beach, alone, where people won't try to fight you. You know you need to do something different to get yourself out of the cycle of incarceration.
Imagine you've graduated university and set off to travel Europe with your friends. While staring at a menu in a restaurant, your entire reality begins to melt away. Your vision blurs, sounds escalate in your head. Paranoia strikes, and a deep fear wells up. You wonder if someone has drugged your water as you return to the hostel and cower in bed for a week until your family comes to collect you. Back home, you're labeled schizophrenic, but don't trust the doctors, or anyone for that matter, and hit the streets as your only option. Turning to drugs in order to self-medicate. Eventually, after a stint in the psych ward, things stabilize, and with assistance from a case manager, you wonder, what choice do I have?
You have a master's degree and work in high tech. Then one day, you find out you have a non-fatal medical condition when you have an episode at work. Coincidentally, you are let go soon after. The recession hits, and you are unemployed for over a year, losing all of your savings. You have no family, no safety net, and you become unable to pay your rent. After exhausting the friends' couches you can sleep on, you begin sleeping in your Mercedes-Benz. You ask yourself, what now? On the streets, you spend all of your time trying not to be seen. You hide from cops, you hide from people who might hurt you or steal what little belongings you have. You hide from folks walking down the street. When you are seen, it is with a look of mistrust, disdain, or even worse. It's through the corner of someone's eye as they avert their gaze. You are unheard, have no voice, no safe place to open up. On the streets, it's easy to have little sense of contribution, and these are the basic needs of the human spirit. Look around you. Imagine that this room is the 1,964 individuals experiencing homelessness in Santa Cruz right now. 69% of you are unsheltered, living on the street or in vehicles. Contrary to popular belief, 84% of you already lived in Santa Cruz when you became homeless, and 60% of you have lived here for over 10 years. Your average life expectancy is 64 years. This is compared to the 79 years of people indoors. And about 60% of you cite not being able to afford rent and not having a job as the main obstacles to becoming housed. There is a desperate need in our community for a place where people can go when they are welcome nowhere. A place where they can be seen, heard, and needed. A place where they can go to rebuild their lives.
And I just want to give you a little bit of my background. I come from a loving household. My mother was a single mother, working hard. Well, you must follow the rules. But there was lots of love and art and music in our house, which I gravitated towards, and ended up being in bands and almost made it several times. I eventually was looking for self-minded people, and I moved to Santa Cruz, where I had 2 kids, and which was the one tragic thing that happened that started me on my financial being behind was my daughter took her immune shots, and a week later she came down with meningitis. She had to be medevaced to Stanford, where she spent 3 days in ICU and a total of a week in the hospital, which cost like $80,000, and all that's on me, but at least she's okay, which was what it was all about. Started a little business, tried to team up with people. Had a hot dog cart in Santa Cruz, teamed up with this person, and they ran off with everything I had worked for. And I was in a pretty bad place. And on my one special occasion where I was going out with a friend, he took me to, say he was going to a garden, and I happened to go to the garden, and the garden happened to be the Homeless Garden Project. When I first stepped onto the property, I was in love, and I knew I was home. It's a very beautiful place, and it was a place where I could use all my skills as a carpenter, farmer, cook, my love of food, and just people being conscious about where we live and what we're doing. And so I'm honored to be there, and I give thanks. So that's my story.
Yeah.
My job at the Homeless Garden is managing our transitional employment program. In this program, people experiencing homelessness or unstable housing are hired as employees to work at our farm, workshop, and store. In this part-time job, people receive income, job training, social work support, and supplemental education so they can transition out of homelessness and unemployment into employment and housing. Tuesdays, we start our week with a circle meeting where we check in with each other and have a chance to share. Wednesdays, we have a class that builds practical, personal, and professional skills. And once a week, trainees meet with a social worker to identify steps to reach their goals. There are a lot of things to be proud of and inspired by at the Homeless Garden. In 2015, we provided 31 people with 13,000 hours of employment and job Of the people that graduated our program, 92% left into stable income and housing.
That's impressive.
But what's even more inspiring than the external transitions are the internal transformations. I've seen people come into our program barely able to speak, who leave telling jokes. I've seen the anxiety that people have when they graduate and have to leave the project, and the confidence they have when they drop in a few months later after starting their new job. A frequently asked question we get is, what kind of training do you provide? Are you training people to become farmers? The answer is, if that's what they want. While some people do go on to work in horticulture, the beautiful thing about the farm is that it provides a complex system and community where people can learn valuable job skills that can be transferred to a wide variety of opportunities. On the farm, people learn problem solving through irrigation, attention to detail and record keeping through greenhouse propagation, and working under a deadline through cooking lunch for 30 people every day. And every step of the way, people are learning how to teach and train others as they show our volunteers how to grow fruits, flowers, and vegetables. The people on the crew aren't the only ones growing and transforming. When I began my job at the Homeless Garden, I was forced to face my own misunderstandings and judgments about homelessness that I didn't even know I had. I'm grateful every day for the opportunity I've been given to learn more about diligence, hard work, and resilience than I ever could have imagined. This place has truly changed me, and that's an opportunity that's available to all of you. Beyond the services we provide as a program, there is the ethereal and yet perfectly tangible magic of the farm. Even as more studies come out about how being in green space is good for your brain, or about how the bacteria in soil stimulates serotonin, on the farm we experience every day that there's just something about it.
So we do these classes, and one of the classes we do is to teach people how to interact with volunteers as they step onto the farm. And we go around and we share our first story of the first person we met, the interaction we had, maybe what we did that first day. And it always gets me reflecting on how I interact with people as I step onto the farm. So I can, for instance, remember the first time that I met William. And when I introduce myself to someone and shake their hand, I never really know what impact the farm will have on them. Maybe they'll be there for the entire year program and we'll have a graduation for them at the end. Or maybe they'll just turn around and we'll never see them again. And it's okay. The farm is there for people to come out when they're ready to experience what we have to offer. And what we do is we work collectively to produce this beautiful, fresh, organic food. And so we say that people can drop the label of being homeless and pick up the label of being a farmer. And there's something really powerful in my mind about that transition. So as a social enterprise, we provide service, but we're also generating income to help fuel our programs. And out at the farm, one of the things we do is a CSA program, so that's Community Supported Agriculture. And it's a model that we picked up in the early 90s. We are the first CSA in Santa Cruz County, which tells you a little bit about how radical the original organizers were, just kind of looking at any ways to connect the community to the farm where the food they eat is being grown. And there's also economic incentives to provide support for the farmer at the beginning of the year. So for our CSA, we have a couple different options. We have a pickup share where we harvest on Friday. People pick up their vegetables, take it home. There's a U-pick share, which is a lot more involved. People come out and actually harvest their own vegetables. And it's a little bit more affordable. And then we have a scholarship share, which is we go out into the community and we solicit donations for a program where we can then turn around and provide boxes of produce to local nonprofits. And it's everything from the Santa Cruz AIDS Project, Women's Crisis Center, River Street Shelter, on down to Flowers for Hospice. And so that's a great feeling for us to really give back, not only to the community and people that pay for our produce, but also for folks that may not have access to food otherwise. We also have a retail store downtown, some of you may have gone to. And so in the winter months, we're creating these value-added products that eventually make their way down to the store. And so people are also getting experience in the retail sector. And we do a U-Pick farm stand as well. Another really cool program we have is, I'm really glad we have these photos up here because it takes me out to the farm and I feel like a little disconnected, being up here presented. But another program we do have, and this is a great way for people like yourself to get involved, is we have a volunteer program. And last year we had over 2,500 people come out to the farm or volunteer in our store. And so there's this really vibrant community effort that people are engaged with. And one of my favorite things is that on any given day, you might have a trainee, a UCSC intern, a group of Girl Scouts, this is last week, working side by side, weeding a bed with a donor and maybe a CSA member. And the great thing is oftentimes we don't tell people who's homeless. We just get people working next to each other. And this serves as a way to really break down these barriers or these concepts we have of us and them. And we found that that's really effective, especially over time as people come back to experience the farm. Oh, I'm going to talk about nature. This is perfect. So one of my favorite moments out at the farm is when people come out to circle or they come out to stretch, which we do first thing in the morning, and they announce to the group that they've found housing, that they're 1 year sober, or that they've found a job and they're going to be transitioning off the farm. And it's completely bittersweet because we really grow to connect with folks out there. And Richard just finished up with us a couple weeks ago. He got a job at the Jerk House, which is a Jamaican spot over on SoCal. And he's one of those guys that's just a complete character. He's 70 years old, and he runs around like he's maybe 25. He's got so much energy, and he works harder than most anybody out there. And anytime I get volunteers, and I want to show him a good time, I just send them out to Richard. And you might see him, if he thinks people are too serious or too stiff, he might be skipping along, singing a song, or he's got an abundance of little quips he'll say. And one of them that he just said the other day was, he said, well, as long as you do the worst jobs that no one else wants to do, you always have a job to do. So he's like, that's why I love digging ditches. Go off and do his thing. Which is all to say that we have a really good time out there. It's not always intense. There's a lot of light moments, and there's a lot of freedom for people to be authentic and be themselves. As I go around town, I do start to notice trainees in different businesses that I go to, and a few of those are the garden company over on Mission. There's New Leaf, Osh, a few different landscape companies locally. I just ran into a fellow who's doing a yoga teacher training with Divinity after working at New Leaf for a little while. We got someone up at the Highway 1 Brewery, actually brewing some beer, and Slow Coast Retail, and a few local farms. And so that's neat for me just to see people after they've graduated the program and see where they end up. Looking forward, as a project, we started 26 years ago with very humble beginnings. A fellow named Paul Lee basically got a call from Carpinteria saying, I got a truckload of herbs. We're shutting down shop. Do you want them? And he said, sure, not really knowing what he was going to do with them. Anyways, they got him up to Santa Cruz. He was doing work with the homeless community, so it just kind of made sense to him that they would create a little garden. and bring homeless folks on to actually plant the garden. And from there, it's really developed over the years from this kind of grassroots initial beginning to much more of an institution in Santa Cruz that's very solid. And so in the next couple of years, we have this very ambitious and what we think of as a very impactful opportunity to move up to a parcel of land in Poconet, where we'll be able to set up orchards, we'll be able to potentially introduce animals into how we work with folks, and we'll be able to expand our programs from 17 trainees a year to 34 in the next 5 years. And so it's a great opportunity to steward this piece of land, and we'll definitely be asking for support in the coming months and years from you all in the community to help make this vision come alive.
And to me, the Homeless Garden Project is a model of what we all should be doing, coming together, helping each other, growing good food, being medicine men and women. And I like to give thanks for life, love, and food, and you guys having us up here. And I'd like to invite everybody out to the garden and you make that conscious step, not to just think about it or read about it, actually come out and visit. And I guarantee you will fall in love, so beware, you will be coming out all the time. So please come and visit us at the Homeless Garden Project, and thank you very much for your time.
I want to just give a shout out real quick to David Dennis, who took all the photos that we showed here and did a wonderful fundraiser for us in December. And I also just want to let you know that we have a table outside, so if you want to come ask us questions or find out more about our programs, we'll be out there. So thank you so much.